Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be discussing a few items. We're going to be discussing essential hand tools, electrical tools, diagnostic tools, tire tools, emergency tools. And we're also going to ask some questions. If you have any questions, hit us up in the chat. We're going to be talking about common tools you're going to need if you're an owner-operator and you have a truck. If you're looking to work on trucks, these are going to be common tools. So I'm going to kind of give you our experience through years of working on these trucks. We've been through tons of tools. There's a lot of different tools out there. So I kind of want to give you some insight on what to look for, so you're not wasting your money on some cheap tools. Shout out to everyone that's out there on the road. Thanks for keeping America moving. We're going to be discussing common tools. As I mentioned, if you're an owner operator, these are just going to be common hand tools, devices. If you're looking to invest, one thing I'd like to start with is, and this is not, and we're going to discuss this later, is if you have too much Harbor Freight tools, you want to kind of start getting that a little bit over to some higher quality tools, because the quality of the material is really what matters in these tools. So we're going to discuss that. They're made with all different types of metals, and that's going to be really important, because when you start trying to work on anything large like this, you need some durable tools. Good morning, Tire Killer. This is also going to be useful for technicians as well. I wanted to get this information out. We'll see how many of you guys join us live. If you got any questions, hit us up in the chat. Well, we're going to get this started here pretty shortly. Just get some information out to you guys. Just to give you an outline on what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about essential hand tools, electrical tools, diagnostic tools, tire tools, and if you do repair tires, we'll talk about that as well. Emergency and miscellaneous tools. And we're going to recap here at the end and take some Q&A if you got any questions. Let's get this show on the road. Today is November 5th, 2024. We actually have an election. So when we play this back years from now, we do have a pretty crazy election going on. So if you have not voted, you want to vote. I've never been in a situation where you feel kind of nervous to voice your opinion. It shouldn't be that way. But either way, get out there and make a difference. We all need to. Okay, yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about tools. Yeah, I know the first question or the first comments popping up about budget. Yes, this is another reason why it's important to use a good shop. And once we start talking about these different tools, you'll start to understand why it is important to, you'll save some money just dealing with the shop, but we'll still get you some information out. How you guys doing this morning? This is a morning broadcast, so if you play this later, let me know where you're watching from. If you got any questions, give us a shout. Hit us up in the comment section. If you're in the DFW area and you're looking for service, you can give us a call, 972-225-3017. So let's get this show started. We're going to be talking about the importance of being able to get just the small items done. I know that driving out there, it's not going to be always easy, and it's pretty stressful. You're already running under a really tight schedule. So being able to drive and work on these trucks, I understand that's not an easy task, but I'm going to be giving some information out on some tools, what I'd recommend. I'm going to, go through some different types of tools, give you some examples. And if you want to start purchasing some small items to get some small items and done, at least some of this information to be useful for you. If you're a technician out there, this information is going to be good. I'm going to just give you some information on what we've been through. We spent tons of money on tools, bad tools, good tools. I'm going to kind of give you some insight on those, jacks, different stuff like that, stuff that we've had some issues with in the past. Let me adjust this chat over here. Hit us up in the chat. Grew up in Mesquite. It's really close. We'll get these up here, there. Hit us up in the chat if you got any questions. If you guys are driving, be careful out there. Make sure to have safety first. So let's get on. Let's get started with this show. So the first thing I'm going to talk about here, after I keep adjusting the chat, the benefits of having the right tools is very important. Okay, we're going to start with some sockets here, but what I wanted to get to is it's very important to have real good quality tools when you're working on this. You don't want to start with some tools that you get from Harbor Freight and the metal is not really at a good quality and it's not good quality tools, and what's going to happen is you're going to end up breaking them, or you can actually strip bolts if you're working on something smaller. And what I mean by that is if you put a cheap socket or a cheap wrench on a nut to break it loose, it has to have a good grip on that nut, and it has to be keyed in there perfectly. If there's too much play, what you're going to end up doing is rounding the edges off of the bolt, and it's going to just make it even more complicated to get it off. And if you start using power tools and stuff like that, it's just going to tear stuff up even more. So the main categories we're going to be talking about, well, first we'll talk about hand tools. So the basic tools, we'll talk about wrenches, sockets. So right here I got some sockets up. Now you want to go with some impact sockets, and the way you're able to tell is the color of the socket. These particular sockets are going to cost a little bit more, but there's different style sockets here. Like if you're working on some smaller stuff, these are some good sockets too. I would go with impact sockets all around. I definitely wouldn't use any kind of sockets that are the real shiny chrome sockets, the real cheap sockets. Those are going to be breaking, not fit right, and it's just going to just waste some time using those types of sockets. So these types of sockets are really solid. What I like about these is if they come in cases, and I'm not advertising any of these guys in particular. All these different vendors will sell other people's brand, and you can see this is the Westward brand, but some places won't all carry them. And the reason why these are actually going to be better because they're made out of better quality. The material on this one is alloy steel, and when you start breaking these old bolts off, if you're trying to replace some shocks or something like that, these sockets are not going to last long. They're going to break really easily. So that's why it's pretty good to invest, if you're going to be investing in some tools, is to invest in some high impact sockets that are made out of some quality material. I was looking a lot of times, if you're going to buy from the Snap-on truck, or if you're going to buy from a good quality vendor, they're going to have this sort of high quality and durability tools. Now, what makes them durable is that they're made of top grade materials. Okay, they're not made of cheap materials, and they undergo a lot of testing. So this is why, instead of you doing the testing, instead of you having to go through all the different ways of trying to make this work and figuring out that this is going to break on you and not, these manufacturers are actually going through all these different tests, and that's why it's important to see what type of tools you're getting to ensure it's a high quality tool. And when you look at the type of material, so I looked up what type of materials, why are the tools that are at higher quality why are they more expensive? Because they are at top grade materials. So when you look at what top grade material is, there's different types of metals that they use. Chrome chrome steel. As you can see here, this is alloy steel. It's not chrome steel. It's still the same metal, but just a different finish. There's high carbon steel, stainless steel, titanium. So the high metal material that these tools are made out of is what makes them worth getting. Now this here is pretty high. If you're not going to be dealing with something in this wide of range, and I probably wouldn't go with that. If you're dealing with something small around your truck, then this is a small impact set here. Let me see if we can see what kind of metal this is made out of. Alloy steel here. Now if you compare this to, like, we'll go to Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight. Oh, you know, I meant to go over here. Let me see here. Pull this up a little bit. Let me go over here. Be patient with me. Now I sound like the artists that are showing up in this crazy election. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that they all start popping up at the last minute. They got the Diddy party list. Okay, here we go. I want to adjust this share screen a bit. There. Now, if we go to looking up. Now, I don't mean to clown on Harbor Freight. Okay, I don't mean to. They may have some good sockets too. Let's check them out. Honestly, I don't usually use Harbor Freight tools. You can see the price difference here, and let's look at the material. Why they're much cheaper. Let's see here, product review. Here it is. What is it made out of? The quality, shipping weight. They're not describing black. I guess no, that's the color. Okay, this is a durable steel as well. Let me see if it follows under the chrome. So this is a good steel as well. So you don't have to spend too much money on them. So this is a good set as well. It comes with all the different types of sockets. You can see it's not a cheap set either, but what I like about this one is look at the carrying case. It's a clean carrying case. I actually have not this particular model, but I have a set like this, and it seems to have a good quality. The product here says it's made out of some quality steel here, so this is going to be good. This is a good one. These are the type of sockets that I wouldn't recommend using. And if you do have a set like this, that's fine. Just make sure you're not using it in high impact situations or putting a lot of stress on them. If you want color sockets, you know, whatever, it's up to you. But okay, so this is a different type of, this is a chrome. Now the chrome finish is used on a lot of different steel or a lot of different tools, but this particular one wouldn't be considered an impact. So it's still quality material. If you do have this set, you can probably use it on light stuff. But if you start trying to work inside the engine bay and take larger components off, you're going to start seeing the difference on impact or using impact guns. I would, instead of having so many different socket sets, this is why I would recommend just going with a high impact set like this. You can go to 1/2 inch or 3/8 and then get a good battery impact. Something not too powerful. And if you are going to be working on stuff, like, just be mindful about the material that you're working on. If you're working on plastic material or stuff like that, that's definitely something you want to be careful with, because you can tear some stuff up. The bolts will strip out really easy. Let's go on to the next item here, which is I want to discuss torque wrenches. Some of you guys might not be dealing with torque wrenches, and one of the items that popped up when we talked about torque wrenches and wanted to check your lug nuts, you're gonna need a massive. If you're looking at something up to 500 plus, it's 500 plus foot-pounds. They're not cheap. Okay. Let's find, let's look at this one right here. Okay, so this is $1,100 torque wrench. A up to 1,000 foot-pounds of torque to check lug nuts. This is what you would use to check lug nuts, but to invest in something like this is going to be really up to you. This is not going to be a basic tool, okay? This is not going to be a basic tool, but I did want to just bring up, if you guys were concerned, this because lug nuts is something that's pretty common as a driver. If you're doing your pre-trips, you might see a lug nut that looks like it needs to be tightened. So I know that this is probably on your mind, and that's why I wanted to cover this. But if you want to invest in something this large, as you can see, it's $1,100 tool. You would have to buy the large extension and socket to fit your wheel lugs. So it's not going to be something that's going to be really common, but I just wanted to kind of cover this because I know that this can be on some of your drivers' minds whenever you see that. Now there are breaker bars. When you start dealing with items that start to become more tough to, like here's an example. This is from Northern Tools. Northern Tools this is a breaker bar already, so you can actually, so this is a little bit cheaper, but you can see the leverage. This is what breaker bars do. And then the same thing when it comes to the quality of the product, it's really going to depend on how much foot-pounds of torque. This was already rated for 750 foot-pounds of torque. What kind of metal is it made out of? Well, it comes with a case. Okay, this is a pretty high quality metal that's made with. So yeah, if they do have other breaker bars that might, when I was looking at Harbor Freight, we'll go back to Harbor Freight. It's been a while since I've shopped at Harbor Freight. We don't use Harbor Freight just because the quality sometimes is not there. But same thing with these breaker bars. If you're going to be using these to put a lot of stress on them, and I've seen some guys even put a cheater bar on it, be careful, because some of these bolts will not break loose, and if this breaks while you're putting a lot of pressure on them, make sure you're looking at the specifics on this. Breaker bars are good. You may use them to, they're basically just used to break. You don't want to use a ratchet to try to break something loose, because you can damage the ratchet. The ratchet are not designed for that. Another item here is pry bars. Pry bars are really, really useful. Tire bar, if you guys are interested in getting something like that. And whenever you store this, I know in some areas of your truck you're not going to be able to store these, or you want to designate an area of your truck, because some of these items are going to get nasty and greasy, and you want to be able to stow them away where you're not going to get that grease everywhere. And if you're working in the shop, you can probably buy some, or if you're mobile, you can buy some throwaway towels to kind of clean those off. Also, just keep those clean as well if you're dealing with them around the fifth wheel or anything like that. So pry bars are really important as well. You don't have to get them so large. Just kind of see what you feel like you may need. See what's really common and what you're going to be wanting to handle, and that's kind of where you're going to be looking to get how you want to set your tools up. I'm just going over some common tools. Another thing I want to is regular wrenches as well, because regular wrenches, they come in all different sizes. I have a set. It's a nice set from Mac, and this is a good set. It's here. Let me see here. This might be the smaller version. This is a good set right here. Let's open this up. This is a good set right here, if you guys are looking for some solid wrenches. Now this one's in metric. If you got a Volvo or a foreign made vehicle, more than likely it's going to have metric. If you have a United States made, it's going to be half sizes. If you can do both, go ahead and get both. But this is a solid set. This is a really solid set. I've had this set for a really long time. Shout out to Kevin, which is our local our local Mac tool dealer. This is a really good set. I like this set. And let's see what kind of product it's made out of. Wrenches, you really want to get a good set of wrenches because they're the precision of how they're made is really good. You don't want to slip on you whenever you're trying to tighten something down. You don't want to slip and bust a knuckle. That's really annoying. So the good quality wrenches that are made out of high quality material, they're not gonna round out on you, and they're not gonna strip on you. So be sure to use those types of wrenches and get the size that's your needs. And what I like about this set is look at this case and look how you're able to carry it around. So you're able to organize and keep up with your wrenches, and not have to go back and forth with the box. Eventually, you probably will have to get a box, so that you don't get your storage area is messy. So that may be important to do as well. Let me adjust this chat over here. Appreciate everyone that's joined us this morning. I know everyone's probably working, and we've been doing a little bit more lives, but I wanted just to get this information out so you guys can play this later on if you're looking to get some more information on tools. So wrenches, we're talking about wrenches. We talked about torque wrenches. Now the next item we're going to be talking about is, well, before we move on, when it comes to the wrenches, what I like about the wrenches is the way that they're actually made. When you go with a high quality tool manufacturer like Mac or Snap-on, and I see there seem to be some other ones. When we went back to Harbor Freight, they were making some with some decent quality steel. But another thing to think about is not only did they go through all the testing, but it's just the preciseness of how these tools are made. And what's important about how the preciseness is going to exactly fit how you need them to fit. So there's not going to be any kind of looseness that could possibly strip it. And what I like about these wrenches here is how large they are. You're able to get a good leverage on it. Now, I see some people put cheater pipes on these to try to make them a cheater bar off of this. Now, you can destroy your tools doing that. Another thing with these particular tools is you're going to be able to have a warranty, and if you are dealing with a local dealer. So shout out to Mac. A lot of these different manufacturers are going to have some quality tools. Just look at them, handle them, see what the quality is. I would definitely go with high impact on the sockets, but these particular wrenches, I'm gonna tell you up front that there's some really solid wrenches. I've went through a lot of set of wrenches, and this is a solid set right here. If you guys got another set that you might be using, let me know. Hit us up in the chat, in the comments. You can play this back later. Yeah, we're going to bring up some more items here. Let me see here. The next thing I want to bring up is the equalizer, otherwise known as a knife. Knives are very handy. Guys, I would honestly be carrying a knife, have a knife pocket, a pocket knife, a good quality one that can open up really easy. And the reason why I say this, because a knife can be useful in any situation. I want to show you, there's a few good knives, and it's going to be the same with the quality of the knife, everything like that. You're going to be able to, all that's going to be taken into play. But have a knife on you. You're going to be able to cut up whatever you need to cut up. If you know how to use a knife. If not, be sure to look over some videos on how to use a knife. I don't want you to cut yourself. But having a knife, a pocket knife, is good as well. The reason why I bring up pocket knife is because it's important to be able to, if you get into an emergency, for one thing, I'm thinking about cutting off a seatbelt. And without a knife, you're not going to be able to do that. But if you do have a knife, you're able to cut some things up. If you have to cut some tape up, or if you have to make some adjustments outside, having a knife is really useful. So, and the same thing with any kind of, when you're looking to select a good tool, the quality is very important. So keep that in mind. You can feel a solid knife. I want to think. I'm trying to get back to the where I usually get the knives. Where is it called? But they're automatic. They're automatic knives, and they're really really solid knives. Knife. I didn't want to bring up her. Well, either way, solid knives are good to have on you. So the next thing we're going to talk about is multimeters. Let's get some multimeters. Now, if you have electrical problems and you want to get into troubleshooting multimeter, when you want to troubleshoot electrical problems and you're familiar with electrical, Harbor Freight keeps popping up. I would go with a Fluke. This is a good one here off Amazon Prime. This is a Fluke. Well, if you don't want to use Amazon, there's some multimeters here. That's Home Depot. I don't really want to go to an actual, these are good ones here. I don't really want to go to a store, I don't want to broadcast a store. But multimeters, as you can see, come in different varieties. You can look them up yourself. If you're going to be working with multimeters, what I want to mention is you may not have to go with like a crazy one that you're going to need all these different settings and anything like that. If you're not too familiar with troubleshooting electric, you're probably not going to even be doing anything like that. So, but that is something that I wanted to bring up, is a multimeter, a battery tester as well. You can go with something smaller. Let's look up, let me pull up a battery tester, because honestly, I don't think you're going to need something. If you are going to get into a multimeter, let's look up one light tester that can kind of do everything for you. A light tester is used for just trying to get some items. Look, this is a good one here, but it keeps taking me to places like, if you guys want to shop at Amazon, that's not bad, but I just didn't really want to broadcast. But everything is all, this is a solid one here. And when I start kind of looking at these battery testers and multimeters, if you're gonna really look into these battery testers and load testers for your type of battery, you got to make sure that you get the right size, because if you're dealing with a car battery and you're trying to use those type of ones, that's not gonna work. So that's kind of why I didn't want to. And if multimeters come in all different sizes, a Fluke is gonna probably be the best one. I see Fluke just popping up all over the place, and that is basically the best one that you can probably get. But I just didn't want to advertise you from getting it in at one specific location, because you want to see what are you going to be testing. You're probably going to be testing lights. Look at really what you're going to be working on as an owner operator. And if you're a technician, just look at what you're working on as a technician. Most of the times you're going to be fault tracing, and multimeters are mostly going to be used for checking the resistance on harnesses. If you're having issues with flickering lights or issues with communications throughout the harness, or the harness could be chafing, you can use those. We use multimeters in a lot of troubleshooting steps. But at the same time, if as an owner operator, generally you're not going to be trying to be troubleshooting without schematics and guided ways. And unless you're really familiar with how to troubleshoot schematics and how to troubleshoot electrical, a multimeter might not help you out. You might need just something really basic like a light tester. A light tester is going to be something that gives you a ground, and you're going to be able to poke something for power, and it's going to light up for you to see if you have power. Some of these testers are really sophisticated where you can actually send power, but you want to be very careful with those types of testers, because you might be able to be sending too much power There are different probe testers that are really handy. Let's look at that one, but they're going to be pretty expensive as well, and they're going to allow you to tie into the electrical system of the truck. And Harbor Freight pops up again. We'll go ahead and share this one here. Let me go ahead and pull this up. So this is a probe tester here. This is a probe tester here. Now, this one's really good because you're able to test ground. Well, you tie into the truck system, and you're able to test a lot of different, it gives you the exact voltage. This is going to be good for, of course, testing circuits. This is a really good, I'll own one of these. This one's really good. Just be careful when you're adding power. You see how he's adding power to it? That's very useful, but you want to be cautious because in some cases, if you're pushing too much power, since you're tied into the electrical system here, this is how it works. You see, you put the two terminals, you got two terminals connected to your battery. And if you're using this on a truck, you're definitely going to be needing some extensions. So you can see how they come with an extender. In some cases you might need two extenders to reach areas, but because they're giving you an example on a car, truck is going to be a lot larger. So as you can see, it ties into the battery here, so you're able to force this amount of voltage. Most of them are going to be 12 volts or 13 volts if the alternator is running up to 13 volts. And if you're testing something that's not, like here, he's putting in electricity, he's putting current at 8 volts, or he's just testing it. I can't tell if he's pushing down on it. He is pushing. Can't tell if he's pushing down on it or not. Looks like he's pushing down on it. So he's adding power, but what I would just be cautious with is not burning up a circuit. I've dealt with circuits, small circuits, large circuits. So you just be cautious about what type of circuit you're working on. This is pretty good here if you guys are working on trying to troubleshoot starters. The only problem would be is getting these actually on, because now you got to connect these straight to the starter. That's directly to the starter on the solenoid, and those things can be tough to access. But these are pretty handy as well. We kind of use these a lot, to be honest with you. But if as an owner operator, you might not need this. I couldn't tell you why you would need that. Got some terminal cleaners, light tester. This is another basic light tester. If you don't want to spend too much money, you kind of just want to make sure that current is working. If you want to deal with this one, but it's only 5 foot, so you're going to be really limited on what you can work on this particular one. So battery testers is going to be the next item I want to talk about. Battery testers are really you're going to want to test batteries for, most cranking are going to be up to 1,000 cranking amps, 12 volt battery. And that's the kind of tester you need. Okay. Don't make sure. And now when I pull this up, this is a good load tester here. This is going to test your batteries. This is a good load tester here. Now, this is OTC is a really solid brand. Most all OTC is going to be high quality. OTC is probably the best, one of the highest brand when it comes to tools. They always make the best stuff. They always make the best stuff. So what I did here is most batteries, all your batteries on a semi truck are going to be around 1,000 cranking amps or less. Some people, I wouldn't go with anything less than 1,000 cranking amps for these particular trucks. And 12 volt battery system. So whenever you look at these, you want to make sure that you get the right one. There's a lot of different battery testers out there. OTC makes them for smaller batteries as well. just being sure you're using the correct battery tester for your particular setup, because you don't want to get a battery tester that's not capable for the batteries that you're trying to test. So be sure OTC is pretty solid. If you're not going to be investing in something, this one's $62. It's a pretty solid battery tester. This one's really important to have. This one's really important to have if you can manage it. Get you one of these, because being stuck on the side of the road, or not even that, just being able to test your batteries and catch them early and getting them replaced is going to help you from a no-start situation. The next item I wanted to talk about is a jumper box. Now, again, when you're looking at jumper boxes, there's a bunch of them out there, but make sure that you're using one for what you need, because I'm going to show you this one. And honestly, this is going to probably be out of a lot of, I mean, it took us a long time to buy one of these. And we even use a wired one as well, but a portable jump box, these came out a long time ago, but they're super powerful. But as you can see, look how much this jump box is. This is $889 for this jump box, 1,000 cranking amps. My apologies, 10,000 amps. Okay, this is a monster box. It's a monster box. This is not going to be something that that's going to be sold at an auto place. A lot of the auto places are going to sell you something like a lot smaller than this. It's not going to be, and what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to have enough cranking amps to be able to turn this truck over. So it's just going to be a waste of time. But the battery tester looked like it was a little bit cheaper. It was like $60-something. That's something that you can start, maybe get into if you're an owner operator, to get into if you're at a shop, you probably already own one of these. If not, we own one, and we also have to get another jump box, because in some cases where the trucks are completely dead, you still may need a jump box. But this is why keeping up with and keeping an eye on your batteries is important, because you don't want to have to use a jump box. Okay, so if you bought the battery tester, the load tester that we went over just earlier, and load tested those batteries maybe once a year or twice a year, you're going to be able to catch bad batteries before they actually go dead and keep you from starting your truck. And because investing in this right here, investing in a jump box is a compatible jump box, because a lot of these jump boxes you're going to get from the auto place are not going to be compatible. They're not going to be able to jump a truck. Shout out to everyone that's joined us this afternoon or this morning. Sorry about these comments. I haven't got to them. Let me get to these comments, and then we'll continue with the show. Appreciate everyone that's joined us this evening or this morning. I did go live yesterday. I'm pretty sure, yeah. And the reason why I talked about budget, because I know that jump box is going to be killing the budget. Appreciate everyone that's joined us today. What do we got here? Valve adjustment on the PACCAR, it's going to vary. You may need, how many miles are on it. You could come across some gaskets that may need to be replaced. If you're looking for service, you can give us a shout, 972-225-3017. We're located off of Interstate 20 and 45. Interstate 20 and Bonneview Road. I used to go live and we were at our old location, so that's kind of still there. Yeah, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and turn on notifications so next time you know when we go live. It says I bought a Cobalt box set, metrics, SAE, and impact. Paid a couple $100 for the Cobalt stuff, but I've only used it on non-commercial vehicles. Well, that's still a good solid set if it's an impact set. And I'm not saying not car tools can work on trucks as well. It's kind of like the same concept. If you're not going to be working on heavy stuff, you can still use it. if you're going to be building your tool inventory up, it's going to take some time, and work with what you have. Work with what you have, because there's going to be endless tools. If we went over, I couldn't cover. I would have to broadcast for a complete week to cover all the tools that are out there. I'm just kind of trying to give you a little bit of basics, and hopefully I can cover something that if you're looking in the market for those. So I purchased a Stanley set online. Stanley's good, but never received it. Not sure if someone stole it off the porch or delivered to the wrong address. Wasn't given a refund either. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And that's kind of why, yeah, sorry to hear that. Whenever you're ordering quality like that, and whoever's handling it's probably going to feel the quality in it. They're going to feel the weight in it, and they're going to understand, hey, this is a quality set. So yeah, they may be more, and keeping up with your tools is very important too. There's some thieves out there. If you're in a common shop, make sure to invest in a solid box. You don't want no one walking off with your tools. This is a very, very expensive investment over time, and it just builds up and builds up. And it's tough when you're dealing with shops. And say, for example, if you want to get some people working in your shop that don't have all the tools. The last broadcast that I had when I spoke about the gentleman that was just ignorant to buying the property and not understanding it, and moving just people, inexperienced people in shops. And when they start dealing with your tools, and that's your investment, stuff that you've worked really hard to build up and have, and you have people trying to use them, not taking care of them, leave them thrown on the ground. And when it comes to tools that are actually common tools, if you guys are familiar with shop areas, common tools, treat them like they're your tools, because a lot of times we notice the difference between how shop tools, which are common tools used, are handled compared to personal tools. And personal tools seem to be cared for a lot better than common shop tools. So if you are in that type of area, be sure to keep up with tools and treat all tools like it's yours, and put them back. That's always been an issue as me growing up. I remember my father always getting on to me about putting tools back. Okay, wire crimplers and strippers are other things you're going to be, and I'm not talking about the ones, the lot lizards. I'm talking about actual plier strippers. I'm gonna show you some good quality plier strippers. Some wire cutters are good. There's a good set that they sell at Home Depot, and I've gifted everyone a set. Here it is. This is the good. Now, I don't want, not this particular. There's going to be different types of cutters. If you're going to be working with electric, if you're going to be cutting wires, be cautious on how you, I wouldn't test or, learn how to do electrical on your truck. Don't do that. I would use these wire cutters for cutting any kind of zip ties, or if you have to put some zip ties on, cut the tips of the zip ties off. Do not try to learn electrical out there. I know I'm mentioning multimeters. That's why when I put multimeters up, I kind of took it back down, just because I don't want to make it too complicated. Because if you're not familiar with electrical, I don't want you to start poking holes in your wires and causing problems. But a good set of wire cutters. These are made by this company here. Let me pull them up. A good set of wire cutters are always useful. But make sure, I want to show you the ones that I like, that I gifted to my guys. And it's a solid one. These are cutters. Let me see here. Let me find them. This is on their website. Are these it? No. Cutting tools. These guys probably still have them too. These are good ones here. Yeah, here they are. Boom. Let me go this on the share screen. Share screen. These are some solid ones here. Oh, let me get out of here. Dialogue cutter pliers. These are some real solid. This is a real solid set right here. The angle on them. So they're really good to cut zip ties, cut all range of stuff. It's a really solid set. Materials made out of steel. I've been through a lot of pliers, and I'll tell you, this one right here is probably the best set I've ever had. I've gifted the whole shop this set, and I guarantee everyone that I've gifted this set to, or this plier to, still uses it to this day. It's a really solid plier. So those can be used. These types of pliers can be used for a lot of things. So a good set of pliers are good to have. So be sure to have a set of pliers. Wire cutters are good. Spare fuses. There's a lot of different combination of fuse boxes that you can buy, or extra fuses that you can buy. And be sure to buy one that would be some fuses that you're going to use. Okay, so don't look over the fuses that you do have access to, and make sure to buy those common ones, because a lot of times when you buy these sets of fuses, a lot of them, or half of them, you're not even going to use. You might as well look to shop for single ones, the single fuses, and order the single ones before buying these combination box fuses. So don't buy too many of those combination box style fuses. Just ensure you get the fuses that you need. Having a spare fuse is always important. What you don't want to do is swap fuses. So don't pull fuses out and swap it. And don't do that, okay? And don't jump fuses as well. You can burn up some stuff. And also, whenever you swap fuses, if you pull fuses out of other areas to try to get something working, you're going to create something not working correctly. Something else is not going to be able to get power. And then so whoever's going to work on that next is going to make it a pretty complicated for them as well. Relays, if you have access to relays, make sure you buy the right relays. Now, we talked about OBD scanners, and I'm not a big fan of the scanners. The last video, one of the broadcasts, we talked about which one was going to be better on the software, if it was OEM software, and somebody commented on there about, it was a pretty popular company that's out there that sells it into kind of like a combination. But what I don't like about those combination style softwares is they still have to contact each specific manufacturer to get updates. So if you're licensed specifically to that, if you're only working on Volvo and you have a license to access Volvo, you're going to always have updated information software. And yes, they mentioned, oh, they got great support. Whoever this laptop company was, of course they have to have the support, because they're like the middleman of where the real information is coming from. So what they're doing is just redoing the information. The same licenses that they're buying is just redoing it and selling it as a bundle. So they have to have that middleman all the time to be able to keep everything updated. If not, it's just it can go to, you're going to be outdated. So if you're not using those combination, you're not working on a variety of trucks, it may be worth just looking into an actual software scanner. If you're looking into OBD, if you have to get an OBD scanner, what I would only use it for is to look up the code and make sure that you get it serviced. Do not go ahead and cancel these codes out. Do not clear them out so that you can keep prolonging the problem. If you needed to get to a shop and get it looked at and get it corrected, then give you props. But what's going to happen is you're going to prolong the problem. And if you're dealing with the scanner and you think that I'm going to be able to figure things out on my own, trust me, the OEM software is going to be so much more detailed on when it comes to this information. They're going to go back to leading technicians to information that needs to be checked on checklists on how the truck has been operated, getting reports from the driver. So OBD scanners are not going to do that for you. They're just going to give you a readout. You're going to have to go back and research it yourself. You could be right, you could be wrong. More waste of time turning around and changing out items that's not going to end up fixing the problem. So be sure to be careful with that. Another thing to look is a good item to get is a temperature gun. These infrared guns are really, really useful if you walk around. Say you're coming from a trip and you're about to fuel and you're in the fuel aisle. You can use a temperature gun. Let me pull one up for you. You can use a temperature gun to shoot your wheels to ensure nothing's getting hot, because you want to catch maybe some some brakes getting hot, maybe a brake may be hanging. Harbor Freight again pops up. So shout out to Harbor Freight. Still look for the quality of the tool whenever you purchase it, but this one here, I don't really like this one. I don't even know that brand. Milwaukee's got one here. This one's kind of high though. I don't know guys want to spend this type of money. Milwaukee's got one. Tools are going to continue to, they're never going to end. They're never going to end. Let me get this one ready for you. So this is a temp gun. This is a temp gun. And you would use this type of temp gun to, like I mentioned, check temperature. Check the temperature. You can run this across your wheels to see. You can check to see how cool your AC is cooling. You know, if anything's not overheating inside the truck, I mean, temperature inside the engine bay is going to be pretty hot. But mostly check in your wheels whenever you're coming to a stop. Put in fuel. That's very useful. So if you can fit that in, that's a good tool to have as well. Now with tire tools, you want a good gauge. You know, I did a video about the gauges, some tire gauges, but let me give you an example. Now, we talked about these here don't have grip on them. I would definitely use the ones that have grip because they'll get dirty and they'll get wet. And what I mean by that is they'll sell these tire pressure tools that are just pretty much bare. The bare metal, so there's no grip on them. So when you do buy one with grip. Make sure it has a straight tip on it. This is a good one here. They're going to be black, not the chrome ones. And I don't have a ready photo for you. This one looks like Amazon's got them. That's a heavy duty tire pressure gauge. So make sure to get the right ones, the one that points straight out. And so that it works for yours, because automotive ones are good as well. Tire pressure gauge, you know, those are good. If you have connections so that you can able to put air pressure in your tire, those are good. But just be careful. If you're not getting enough air pressure from the supply hose, you could be actually letting air out of your tire. So be careful with that. For the emergency stuff, have your reflectors, your reflector vest, first aid kit. Make sure to get some zip ties, some duct tape, and make sure your fire extinguisher is up. But basically, that's pretty much more kind of most common. As I mentioned, if we try to cover all the tools, you know, there's bottle jacks that we didn't cover. There's different stuff that we didn't cover that I didn't want to get too in depth because I just kind of want to cover the basics. Those are kind of the basic tools that you're going to be using as an owner operator on the road. Now, if you don't want to buy all these types of tools, it's understandable. Look for a good shop. If you're in the DFW area, you can check us out, 972-225-3017. If you guys want to give us more comments in the comments below after the broadcast is over, that's fine. I appreciate everyone that's joined us today. I appreciate all the comments. And guys, be sure to keep up with maintenance. Let me see. We got a comment here. We got a few comments. Let me see. This guy's letting us know about his purchases online. I guess LTL has been kind of struggling a little bit. I wanted to cover a little bit of that, but maybe would be for another broadcast. A multimeter and a voltage meter, light checker, and things to make noises to detect correct. You showed all 3 items. Yep. Tried troubleshooting. No start on with OBS. Appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, so the tools that I covered are the most common ones. Had no idea what I was doing. I was trying to read. Luckily, I found the burned wire running from the starter by visual inspection. Visual inspections are very important. That's the first step you take. Visual inspections. We start producing our own procedures when it comes to like electrical problems, looking at batteries first, looking at connectors first, testing batteries. Both electrical problems can be really tricky, but you want to start with the power supply. If power supply is bad, and this is very common for Volvos with loose battery connections, loose ground, loose starter connections. If current is not correct there, then you're going to have all types of faults going all over the place, and it can throw you to the wrong place. But if you look at the basic power supply, which is battery connections, grounds, batteries are still good, then that's definitely going to help you a lot of troubleshooting. Super says, I replaced the entire air dryer assembly, and now I'm noticing yellow residue on the base around where the filter sits against the air dryer assembly. Is that normal? You may still have some contamination in the system. Check that discharge pipe coming off the compressor. See if that you might have to replace that discharge pipe. If that discharge pipe is already all gunked up, look at the intake pipe as well on the compressor. Make sure you're changing your air filter on the engine. And keep an eye on it. You may have to replace that filter assembly, the dryer filter, more often. Just keep an eye. If you don't see that go away, make sure that you change that discharge pipe, as I said, because that discharge pipe still be filled with that residue. So hopefully that helps. I appreciate everyone that's joined us today. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. And if you're looking for service and you're in the DFW area, give us a shout, 972-225-3017. I know I discuss a lot of tools that you probably don't want to invest in. So depending on a good shop is very important. We have all the up-to-date equipment and that the technicians need. We use a lot of common shop tools as well. Everything that a dealer has, we have, so we can get you handled. Give us a shout. Medium, light duty, heavy duty, buses. We can work on them all. Give us a shout, 972-225-3017. Thank you guys for joining us, and let me know what you think about these broadcasts. I'm trying to get them just some basic information out there. I don't want to get too much, take too long in preparing something, but I just kind of wanted to get a lot of information out there to you guys. But we'll work more to get more structured. I appreciate everyone that's joined us this morning, and we'll go again maybe this evening. Give us a shout and be safe out there. We'll see you next time.